Speaking of upticks, have we seen an uptick in criminal cartel or cartel-related gang activity in the United States over the last several years?
Yes, the cartels working in kind of an unholy alliance with dangerous, violent gangs here in the U.S. are responsible not just for the abominable distribution of fentanyl all over the country, but also an awful lot of the violence that comes along with it.
And that's coming principally across our southern border?
That's a huge driver of it, certainly.
Huge driver. It's reported we've lost contact with the guardians of more than 85,000 unaccompanied minors who've been brought here by the cartels through the southern border. How many of these children are still unaccounted for?
That I'm not sure we have the answer to that. That may be a question for DHS.
Okay. Representative McClintock, your pretty dire assessment of what's your reaction to his admission that the Biden border policy is causing people to die from fentanyl and from gang violence on their streets.
Well, the numbers speak for themselves. We're losing an average of about 300 Americans a day to fentanyl that's coming across the southern border. Since this administration took office, 2.1 million illegal aliens who illegally crossed the border, which is a crime in and of itself, have already been released into the United States, despite federal law that requires them to be detained. 2.1 million is a population larger than the entire state of Nebraska. And while the Border Patrol has been consumed by taking names and changing diapers, an additional 1.5 million known gotaways have come in as well. We know nothing about them. 1.5 million is larger than the population of Hawaii. So because of this administration's open border policies, we've taken in a new state of Nebraska and a new state of Hawaii with very little vetting. It is impoverished, dependent, and you explain to me how this improves our schools by packing classrooms with non-English speaking students, or how it improves the safety of our communities by introducing cartels and cartel-related gangs into our communities. Most of the people who come in through the southern border are indebted to the cartels to the tune of thousands and thousands of dollars. Those debts are enforced by cartel-related gangs who come in with them. And they now permeate all of our major cities and increasingly our local rural communities as well. In fact, in Tulare, a little rural town just outside of my district, a couple of months ago, we had a cartel-related assassination of an entire family, shot in the head.
Wow.
Quite likely over a debt.
Yeah, my wife's from Hanford, so I know the area really well. It's
it's coming to every community in the country. The Border Patrol agents have been warning that for some time. Every community is now a border community because of these policies.
Has this invasion created a national security threat where we effectively have a standing army on our streets controlled by the cartels and potentially the Chinese or wherever else is working with them?
We don't know exactly what we're dealing with. We do know, as the director said, that the open border has been a huge driver in the increase in cartel activities in our cities, gang activities. And don't forget, the sanctuary policies make it all but impossible to remove a criminal illegal alien as the law requires.
Now, it's untenable. I really appreciate you going down that line, because getting the FBI director to say those things out loud on the record is important if we're going to actually fix it, because we have to start holding the politicals who are responsible for these decisions accountable for the failure of their policies. And the fact, I use the city of LA, the importation of the equivalent of more people than are in the entire city of Los Angeles, our second largest city in this country.
But Rick, when people ask me, how could this be happening to our country? The answer is pretty simple. If you voted for the Democrats, this is exactly what you voted for. And if you're surprised by this, you weren't paying any attention. There's an old saying, I don't blame Caesar, I blame those who cheered for Caesar. We have to each look into the votes that we have cast in these elections and ask, what have we actually voted for? Because that's always true in a democracy. You end up getting the government you vote for. If it's not to your liking, that's nature's way of warning to be a lot more careful next time.
Absolutely.